see them unless they want you to see them. And even if you do see them, I get up there, pull in, sure enough, gang, 4, 5 people. Behind Gang's Billy, they had a whole street.
Wack 100 really thought he could pull a fast one on 50 Cent and press him in his own zone, but things went left real quick, and it almost turned deadly. Today, we're breaking down how Wack 100's wild attempt to flex on 50 backfired big time. This whole mess kicked off because of the game. Wack was managing Game back when he and 50 were beefing heavy. That's when Wack decided to roll up with a crew, thinking he could catch 50 off guard while he was out on the West Coast. Big mistake. See, Wack's got serious pull in LA.
La Meridian, La Moran or some shit. It's SLS now on La Cienega, right by the Beverly Center. We thought we did. Somebody called us, told he was up there. I got up there. He came in.
How deep were you?
About 15.
The man's been around for years, even linked up with Suge Knight back in the Death Row Records era. When Wack first crossed paths with Game, he was still repping that Death Row energy. And Game knew right away the vibe could turn bad fast. According to the story, some of Wack's people had Game surrounded in the streets. It was tense, no joke. They were ready to throw hands right there in LA before things spun out of control. Then Wack himself pulled up, and the whole block was packed with dudes ready to jump in. It was pure chaos brewing in the middle of the street. Back in the day, Game wasn't just clashing with 50 Cent. He also had serious tension with Suge Knight. The drama started because Game had signed a deal with Dr. Dre, and that move didn't sit right with Suge.
Game was trying to get in, and they was like, we can't let you in. Game like, what you mean you can't let me in? Like 50 in there. So Game called me, I come down there, I talk to the owner.
Rumor has it that one time, Suge even dragged Game off a stage and roughed him up in front of everyone. Things were messy behind the scenes. Then came another layer of chaos, a track from rapper Yuckmuth called Game Over 2. Yuckmuth threw some wild shots at Game, rapping, "Nigga ain't from the hood, your first album went wood, and every week you getting slapped by Suge." He even taunted him saying, "Come to the Bay, man, them dudes gonna spray." It was disrespect on full blast.
And I'm like, yo, what's the problem? And like, Wack, 50 got a clause in the contract that said that we let Game in, we gotta pay him double the rate, so on and so forth.
Game didn't respond directly to Yuckmuth, but he fired shots at Suge on one of his own tracks. He called out all the drama, rapping about street life, betrayal, and people playing both sides.
Real nigga though. That's why they call him the Fox, because you know, niggas try to kill him so many times. Like even when he got killed, I didn't even believe it, because I'm like, nah, that's the Fox, he never died.
Everyone in the West knew the tension was real, and they also knew Wack 100 was still tight with Suge at that time, man. So when Game was surrounded in the streets and Wack suddenly showed up, he thought it was a setup, like it might be his last moment standing. But then things took a shocking turn. Suge himself pulled up too, but instead of the situation exploding, Wack stepped in and made sure nobody threw a punch. He kept it cool, handled the tension, and turned what could have been a violent showdown into a calm conversation. After everyone left, Wack stayed behind and actually chopped it up with Game, setting the stage for a whole new chapter in their story. A few months after that wild street incident, Wack 100 started managing a new artist named Stacey Adams. He wanted to get the Game on a track to help put Stacey on the map. At that time, Game's head of security was a guy from the bounty hunter Watts Bloods named 2 T's. Wack already knew 2 T's from the streets, so he hit him up to connect with Game. They set up a meeting, and soon Wack rolled into the studio where Game was recording. That's when things took an unexpected turn.
Mozzie got so frustrated that he had the building surrounded, like 100 niggas around the building.
What?
Yo, niggas don't wanna pay me? Yo, I got the buildings around it.
Game reached into his pocket, pulled out $10,000, and did the feature for free. That moment kicked off a whole new relationship between Wack and Game. Game even rapped about it later on one of Stacey Adams' tracks, saying, "That nigga Wack got my number and came through. Now let me tell you the type of shit the Game do. He walked in the booth where I was spitting, gave him 10,000, couldn't even finish his sentence. I ain't owe him shit, but real recognize real. Now we like 2 red nose pits. Cross him, you gotta cross me."
He's just a crazy nigga, bro.
That's crazy.
I told you pull the strap out in the Apollo, like with Jimmy Henchman. Pull the strap out. Niggas wanna do, nigga. It's the Fox, nigga.
Tony Yayo said that Maserati Fox could turn anybody into a shooter and was always ready to crash out.
From that moment on, Game and Wack were locked in tight. Wack became more than just a manager. He was backing Game up through every beef and every headline. Around that time, the tension between Game and 50 Cent had already been burning for years, and Wack stepped right into the middle of it. Things got so heated that it eventually turned into a street shootout. The fallout was huge. 50 had already kicked Game out of G Unit and even dissed him live on the radio, making their feud one of the most explosive beefs in hip-hop history.
Bizarre from D12 said that when 50 linked up with Dr. Dre, they all started wearing bulletproof vests and riding in bulletproof cars because they were really in some shit.
We was
After that chaotic shootout in New York, the beef between 50 Cent and the Game exploded to another level. Both sides were throwing shots back and forth in songs, interviews, and anywhere they could get heard. Everyone already knew 50's story. He came straight out of the South Side streets and survived getting hit 9 times. That built his legend, and it made people think twice before crossing him. But Wack 100, he still figured he could press 50 when he came out west.
we was in some shit. Like we had to move like the military, you know what I'm saying? Bulletproof vests, bulletproof cars, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we didn't really have to worry about that before him, you know what I'm saying? But so the shit really got street shit quick.
Wack had deep ties all over LA, from Compton to Watts, and when one of his homies called and told him which hotel 50 was staying at, Wack decided to make a move. He rolled up heavy, about 15 guys deep, thinking he was about to catch 50 slipping. Only thing is, that plan went south fast. Folks in New York already knew how 50 moved, disciplined, calculated, and always prepared, but Wack was about to see it up close. When Wack and his crew walked into the hotel bar ready to confront 50, the whole vibe shifted instantly.
Come in that motherfucker, like 10 of us. We coming in this motherfucker. I stop, I'm looking around. I'm like, something don't seem right about this scenery. Man, had about 8 Navy SEALs. Air is moving with the tactical head. They seen this nigga got the moving. They positioned around. This nigga looked back at us and smirked. Yeah, we ain't got no.
50 was sitting there cool, calm, and protected like a boss. His security wasn't your average crew. It looked like a small army. We're talking bulletproof vests, communication earpieces, and that locked-in military stance. These guys meant business. Wack suddenly realized this wasn't gonna be a quick brawl or some street scuffle. 50's team was trained, armed, and ready to shut anything down on sight. In that moment, it hit Wack that he had stepped into a situation way bigger than he expected, and one wrong move could have ended very badly for him and his crew. So instead of starting a fight that could have ended in disaster, Wack 100 made the smartest move of his life. He and his crew just turned around and walked out. 50 Cent sat there with a cool smirk, watching them leave like he already knew he had the upper hand. Wack wasn't scared of many people, but deep down, he realized if things popped off that night, he and his whole crew might not make it out alive. Fast forward a bit, the next time Wack crossed paths with 50, he was done trying to test him. Instead, he wanted to play peacemaker. By then, the beef between Game and 50 had gotten so serious that clubs were refusing to let Game inside if 50 was there. One night, 50 was out celebrating at a club, and Game wanted to pull up too, but security shut it down immediately.
See you later, homie. We ain't got no. He did that on the West Coast. He did that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Took a bag. This nigga had, I swear, you'd have thought it was the president of the United States. This nigga, I looked, them niggas got to moving around, and nigga, I'm like.
They knew the history and didn't want chaos inside. That's when Wack stepped in. He pulled up to the club himself, talked directly with the owner, and managed to convince him to let Wack go in so he could speak to 50 personally. Once inside, Wack chopped it up with 50 and told him straight, Game wasn't looking for trouble anymore. Surprisingly, 50 listened. He told the club owner to let Game and his crew in, and for a moment, everything seemed cool again. Later that same night, fate brought them both to another spot, a strip club. The tension was still there, but Game decided it was time to face 50 man to man.
Shit.
Nigga Fat Joe said that shit too. Said the same thing. Seen that
I'm
nigga with a
telling you,
Navy
my nigga,
SEAL.
my nigga, listen, I'm leading the pack. I got my squad, nigga. Ain't no nigga. Cover this motherfucker. The homies like, I said, oh no, we can't play with this. What? I said, nigga, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Nigga, we out of here.
Wack approached 50's head of security, letting him know Game wanted a conversation, not a fight. Now, 50's head of security back then was a man known as Monster. The dude had a serious reputation, quiet, but everyone in the industry knew not to mess with him. Wack actually had some connections with Monster through mutual people on the East Coast, and that link was the only reason the situation didn't blow up again right there on the spot. Wack and Monster managed to set up a calm, face-to-face meeting between 50 and Game right there in the middle of the strip club. The atmosphere was tense, lights flashing, music blasting, but somehow they kept it from turning into a scene. Both crews stood by watching close as 50 and Game talked it out for nearly 15 minutes. For a moment, it actually looked like peace was possible.
Niggas body armored up. These niggas got magazines. The mini AR joints, you know, the ones as big as your forearm, right? They ain't gonna get in trouble for fire, nigga. We going to jail 10 times. We in Beverly Hills. We thinking we gonna go in there and put on the show with a squabble and stomp a nigga out.
But that truce didn't last long. Just a few weeks later, both of them were back online, throwing shade and firing off slick comments on social media. The beef was too deep to die that easy. Still, Wack got lucky. Even with the back and forth, 50 never sent Monster or any of his heavy hitters after him. That was a blessing because Monster wasn't the type of guy anyone wanted as an enemy. Monster had been 50's head of security for years, but barely anyone knew much about him. No flashy interviews, no fame chasing, just straight business. In an era where a lot of security guards start doing podcasts and trying to build clout, Monster kept things old school. People said if 50 had a problem, Monster was already handling it before anyone even heard about it.
When you see him, you can't get to him. I never forget the 50 Cent pulled a move on us so gang played with us on purpose. Like, yo, Wack, 50 he gonna be at the
He moved like a shadow. Loyal, quiet, and serious. There's even footage of Monster at an airport literally covering his face so paparazzi couldn't snap a clear photo of him. He wasn't trying to be famous. He was there to protect 50, period.
The SLS hotel. What? Yeah, the little bar area over there. He gonna be in, come down. Paul Rule, we through there. This one is on. He pulled up in this SLS hotel.
Around that same time, reports came out that while 50 and Game were meeting up in that club, Monster ended up roughing up a couple of photographers in Copenhagen who got too close for comfort. He was that kind of dude, all about keeping his boss safe no matter where they were in the world. The photographers in Copenhagen thought they had scored big when they found out where 50 Cent was staying. They camped outside his hotel hoping to catch him slipping and snap some exclusive photos. But things didn't go the way they planned because when the hotel doors opened, it wasn't 50 who walked out, it was Monster.
Nigga looked back at us and grinned. Never forget the grin.
He
know what
gave
I
you
told?
that power smirk. He gave you
That
that
nigga
power
gave me
smirk.
that. Hey, listen, hey, Black. Know what I told myself? Yeah, I need to incorporate that grin in my program.
According to reports, Monster instantly spotted the photographers lurking. He wasn't having it. One of the photographers got a little too close, and Monster reacted fast. Stepping up, grabbing the man by the collar and snatching the camera, witnesses said he started deleting photos on the spot before anyone could even blink. The whole thing was over in seconds, but it left the photographers completely shaken. One of them was reportedly so rattled, he had to get checked out at the hospital afterward. That's the kind of loyalty Monster was known for, always ready to protect 50 from anyone crossing the line. But now, years later, wild rumors have started spreading online that Monster and 50 might have fallen out. Some say their split could have turned ugly. One story floating around claims Monster felt like he'd risked his life countless times for 50, but wasn't getting paid what he deserved.
Someone came in screaming that Suge Knight was outside.
Shit, somebody said, Suge Knight here. And 50 I was at the bar, Gang was there. He was shooting in the club scene. And he stopped. And Suge came in with 30 Mexicans, like you said.
There you go.
Which is weird, you know what I'm saying?
He always wrong with the Mexicans.
People started freaking out and running away.
Allegedly, he even took $1 million from 50 and told him, come get it back in blood. But to be real, there's zero proof backing that story up. Other insiders insist Monster simply retired from the industry, moved down south, and now lives a quiet life with his family. Monster was always low-key, never chasing attention, but 50 himself once gave him a rare public shout-out on the track, Piggy Bank, saying, I know you ain't just gonna let 50, a nod that showed just how much trust and respect he had for his right-hand man. On one of 50 Cent's most intense tracks, he threw in a line that sounded straight out of a street movie. Do you like that? I'm me. Damn. Rep your hood, nigga. Nigga, you hard right? Pop up. Yeah. Yo, get Monster. Them niggas on the phone. Tell them niggas I said, grip up. Niggas got a green light on these monkeys. It was raw energy. The kind of line that showed how serious 50's circle was moving back then. But Monster wasn't the only one in his camp who had people nervous. Another feared name connected to 50 was Maserati Fox. Maserati Fox earned his name because, as folks used to say, people were always trying to take him out. But he somehow stayed one step ahead every time. He wasn't just a street figure either. He rapped too. 50 and Prodigy actually believed in his talent and helped him land a major record deal reportedly worth a cool $1 million. But when the deal started taking too long to finalize, Maserati didn't wait around or send polite emails. Instead, he pulled up to the record label's building with nearly 100 of his guys surrounding the place and demanding answers. That bold move had the entire office on edge. It was pure pressure. Around that same time, 50 was caught up in another dangerous feud. This one with Jimmy Henchman, a man many called the Suge Knight of the East Coast. Henchman had a heavy reputation in New York. People whispered that he had serious connections and was tied to some dark history involving major rap figures. Most artists wouldn't even dare to go against him, but 50 wasn't built like most. He wasn't about to back down from anyone. Jimmy Henchman was actually the game's manager before Wack 100 came into the picture, and that connection made things even messier. One day, things spun completely out of control after one of 50's closest friends, Tony Yayo, allegedly slapped Jimmy Henchman's son during a dispute. That moment lit a fuse that couldn't be undone. According to reports, Jimmy Henchman didn't take it lightly. He allegedly sent a crew of men to go after 50 following a music video shoot, but the plan didn't work out. They couldn't get close enough to pull it off. Instead, they retaliated by targeting Tony Yayo's mother's home, which was a major escalation that shocked everyone in the industry. Not long after that, another member of G-Unit's circle, a man known as Lodi Mack, got released from jail. But before he could even settle back into his life, tragedy struck. Reports claimed that Henchman's people tracked him down and shot him in the street. The police eventually connected the dots, and Jimmy Henchman was sentenced to life in prison for allegedly paying for that hit. But before he ever got locked up, there was one wild moment that made headlines. Maserati Fox supposedly spotted Henchman at the Apollo Theater in Harlem and pulled out a gun on him in public. He didn't fire, but that stunt showed exactly what kind of energy Fox brought everywhere he went. Tony Yayo later said that Maserati Fox could turn anybody into a shooter. He was always ready to crash out. That mindset made him fearless but also reckless, and sadly that same attitude ended up costing him his life. The story behind Maserati Fox's death is one of the darkest and most shocking in New York's rap scene. Back in 1998, long before his name started buzzing in the rap scene, Maserati Fox was deep in the streets with his crew. One night, he and a few of his homies hopped into a taxi, cruising through the city. While riding around, Maserati spotted a group of guys he had past issues with, old tension that hadn't died down. Without hesitation, he told the driver to stop the car. Maserati jumped out and walked up to the group, ready to confront them face to face. Words were exchanged and things got heated fast. After a short argument, Maserati headed back to the cab, angry and fired up. He told his crew, "They violated me. That guy disrespected me. Handle that." Moments later, the night spiraled out of control. Shots rang out as Maserati and his crew jumped out of the cab. Chaos broke loose in the street and stray bullets went flying in every direction. Sadly, an innocent man named Curtis Scott was hit and lost his life in the crossfire. His brother Jamal Scott heard the gunfire and ran outside, only to realize that tragedy had struck his own family. The incident changed Maserati Fox's entire life. He was arrested soon after and ended up serving nearly 16 years behind bars. When he finally got out, he tried to get back into music, linking up with G-Unit and chasing a second chance at success. But the streets never really left him alone. Over the years, reports claimed he survived multiple attempts on his life and was allegedly shot several times before his story came to a violent end later on. 50 Cent really tried to give Maserati Fox a new lane. He wanted to see him win in the rap game and leave the streets behind. But no matter how many chances he got, Maserati couldn't seem to stay out of trouble. He kept getting locked up again and again, trapped in that same cycle. In 2014, Maserati was fresh out after another sentence and hanging with his friends inside a parked car. The old case involving Curtis Scott was long behind him. Or so he thought. What Maserati didn't realize was that Curtis's brother, Jamal Scott, had never let it go. According to reports, Jamal had been quietly waiting for his moment. That night, while Maserati was sitting in the car, Jamal allegedly approached and opened fire. Maserati was hit multiple times, tried to get out of the car, but collapsed in the street. He didn't make it. Just like that, one of the wildest stories in New York rap came to a tragic end. What made it even sadder is that 50 Cent had been trying hard to keep Maserati away from the violence. When Maserati's stepdaughter was later killed in a heartbreaking shooting while riding a city bus in Queens, 50 stepped up again. He personally covered the funeral costs for her family. That showed how much he truly cared, no matter how messy things had gotten. People always said Maserati Fox had an unpredictable energy. You never knew what kind of move he was gonna make next. But that wild streak was part of why he stood out. Still, 50's crew as a whole wasn't just about chaos. They moved like a disciplined unit. After 50 signed his deal with Dr. Dre, everything changed. Proof and Z from D12 once said that once 50 joined forces with Dre, the entire crew started rolling different. Bulletproof cars, bulletproof vests, and top-tier security everywhere they went. The rap game wasn't just music anymore, it was survival. And 50's team made sure they were always ready for whatever came next. 50 Cent was never the type to back down from anyone. even when Suge Knight himself pulled up to one of his video shoots with nearly 30 people deep, trying to intimidate him, 50 stood his ground like it was nothing. Now, the tension between Suge Knight and Dr. Dre had been boiling for years, ever since Dre walked away from Death Row Records to start his own empire. So when Dre signed 50 to Aftermath, Suge saw it as a direct shot. One day, while 50 and his crew, including members of D12, were filming a video, chaos broke out. Someone ran in shouting, "Suge Knight's outside." According to witnesses, Sugi showed up with a crew that looked ready for trouble. But while everyone else panicked, 50 didn't flinch. He walked straight up to Suge and looked him dead in the eyes, saying, "What's up?" The energy was tense enough to freeze the air, but Suge saw that 50 wasn't scared, not even a little. Without a word, Sugi and his whole crew backed off and left. That moment sealed 50's rep as one of the toughest in the game. Fast forward a few years later to the infamous Vibe Awards, and things turned wild again. Dr. Dre was about to step on stage to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award when suddenly a man named Jimmy Johnson rushed up and tried to swing on him. Rumor had it Suge had allegedly paid Jimmy $5,000 to attack Dre that night, but he clearly didn't think about who Dre had standing beside him. G-Unit. In a split second, 50's artist Young Buck jumped in to protect Dre. The whole room went crazy, and by the end of the chaos, Jimmy was seriously hurt and the show was shut down. It was another moment that proved G-Unit didn't just rap about being ready, they were ready. Through it all, from street shootouts to label wars, 50 has faced some of the scariest figures in both rap and the streets, and somehow he always comes out on top. That's why even guys like Wack 100 think twice before ever trying to test him. 50's not just a rapper, he's a survivor, a strategist, and a legend who built his empire by facing every challenge head on. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild hip-hop stories. You don't want to miss what's coming next. See you on the next one.